what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, but if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by P. Mars, the Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Physics Warrior, Jose, Daniel, Chocolate Saiyan and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Yo, yo.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yellow.
Nathan, it's dawned on me that, there are some questions that they will never, ever, ever admit, back down, or whatever, they'll never concede on. It appears that they have to deny perspective at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely. Obfuscate and deny.
So I guess we should focus back on the perspective arguments, because that's where the truth lies.
Yeah, as soon as you take any of these images that are presented ever, and include perspective in the calculations, when begging the question and assuming that the Earth is a sphere, oh, what do you know, it all fails. Completely. And it doesn't matter how many times they do it, we'll rip it apart every single time. And when they present their evidence and say, well, on a flat Earth we should see the bottom of this, look, when I've got my little man on the left and my mountain on the right and I draw a straight line between the two, ignoring all angles, ignoring perspective, then you should see it all. So I'm going to assert that the reason you can't is because of my begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculation and its assumption that the Earth's a sphere. So therefore this obstruction sphere obstruction. Let's ignore perspective or ask Nathan 5 times why we should include it. Unbelievable. These people are stupid. Like, literally stupid. I mean, is anybody not agreeing with me? To be asking the same question 4 times, why should we include perspective when we're assessing this stuff? Is a stupid question. Am I wrong?
No, I agree.
Well, it's just like what I said before. Alan's not being stupid. He's just being obtuse. But this other guy, I don't understand. You can't explain it in a way that makes sense. He's just going to keep asking the same question again. Why should we include perspective again? Why?
He was just trolling because Nathan was kind of angry and he thought it was funny. Sorry.
It's like we've gone
I
back.
heard him laughing in between, so...
It's like with, what's his name? Miles Davis. It's like with his picture. It's like we've regressed back to the Isle of Man arguments and they're being recited.
La perspectiva no importa.
Yeah, it's included. See this picture? Perspective is included. The next picture that comes up, perspective included. The Isle of Man that we just mentioned a moment ago, P. Miles, perspective included. The picture that Miles Davis is punting, whilst misrepresenting it in a 90-degree adjacent view that's orthographic and excludes perspective, that too, guess what? Includes perspective. Maybe you should ask me why we should include it when we are assessing it, P. Maybe you should ask me again. Why would we include perspective? In this picture, for example, do you think this one excludes perspective, like your representations as a globe head? No, P? Or are you just thick? Oh, it's the Alan silence.
Porque deberíamos incluir la perspectiva?
Because we see it every time, every single human being open the eyes, we see in perspective. That's why we should include perspective everywhere.
There, it's real. That's my question, Pete. Do you think this picture doesn't include it? Which picture that I present doesn't include perspective? Because it's never calculated. It's based on a competition with a 90-degree adjacent view that doesn't include perspective. And then the actual effects of perspective are called Earth curve.
Sometimes a curve is just a curve.
What happens if we don't ever see a curve, though, P?
Yes, we do.
Really?
Really? You know we do.
Well,
You know.
you've got that really gay little voice that makes it sound like you're being sent in here against your will.
I'm really sensitive.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
But
So,
you're saying it's just
where do
a
we go
curve
from
is a
here, P? Are
curve.
we going to deny perspective, or are we going to accept that it is a thing?
Well, I would be more interested to know why
Only-
he thinks that there's never been any proof of us showing anything that we shouldn't see on a globe. So when we see further, he says we don't have any evidence of that.
While he was
That's
saying it, he had a
true.
picture of the clock tower at Barrow. While he was saying it, I mean,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, P, are we going to deny perspective, or are we going to admit that it actually is required?
You're gonna deny perspective when the sun and the moon go across the sky.
projection. Bit of projection
But-
then, P.
No one on the ball Earth side is denying perspective. That's
Yes, you are. Absolutely,
No.
without question, when you put the world that you say we should see in an orthographic, non-perspective inclusive view, P. How many times has somebody gone to a Flat Earth Debunked video and seen the side of a stickman's head and the side of the mountain he's viewing in the same frame? Oh, that would be every time, because that's how your trick works.
It's machinations.
You deny science.
So, still no concession, no acknowledgement, nothing. Sometimes when Vegan Guy says these things, you call him a tard, a conspiratard, for claiming that these people are sent here. But yet, I don't get it, P. Literally, you're not conceding a single thing. In the face of the obvious reality that you are encountering every time you open your eyes or open the shutter of a camera, perspective is there, rearing its head, just waiting for some arsehole to come along and say, no, we actually view the world from side on to our own eyeballs. And in that instance, we should see everything. And when stuff goes from the bottom, look at this calculator that ignores all aspects of perspective. Because that calculator says it's Earth curve. So it's Earth curve.
Yeah, you don't even get the calculator right. You don't even know how to use the calculator.
But
Well, I'll
what-
show you the
why do we need to
calculator.
use the calculator?
Yeah,
That
why
is
do you?
Because it's there.
What's the calculator called, P? What's the name of the calculator that you say I should know
Are
and
you
should be
talking
using?
about the curve calculator?
Oh, Earth curve calculator, the one that automatically assumes we're on an Earth that's curved. That calculator, P. Is this
Can I
something
show you
else
how
you don't
that's broken?
understand?
Can I show you how it's broken? Can you display me, Nath?
Sure.
I've never showed this video to anybody yet, and this was several months ago that I did this video. So it's basically a first time showing of it. 20.6 miles. These buildings over here, the top one, 167 feet tall. This one, the ones lower down are 100 feet tall. These buildings here, right? And they're all essentially on the waterline. At this distance from my elevation, 250 feet should be missing. And I'll show you that on the Earth curve calculator. If I just get it up here. Distance 20.6 miles, viewer height 1 foot. Hidden should be 250 feet. I'll show you where my location is, which is Savoy Hotel is over here. And I was filming from this part here on the beach. And if I put the line measure in and I show you the properties of that, it says the distance is 20.6 miles. Now, essentially, we shouldn't see even the top rooftops of these buildings. So let's not even get on to the compression that's going on and the inferior mirage that runs underneath it. But those buildings are there. They are not there. They are really there. That is not a hologram. So this is
So just for the audience only, a pound says that after Ranty's finished this explanation and absolutely categorically proven that we can demonstrate things that shouldn't be there on a globe but we can see, P. Mars will double down and claim we haven't shown this. That's just for the audience only.
Because the Earth calculator isn't saying things you're saying it's saying.
I think we can stop
You're
with you
so
don't understand the Earth curve calculator. If you don't understand it, that's fine. But this is what you tell people that we live on.
Just a quick question for you, P. So
Yeah.
you've asserted that we have never demonstrated things cannot be seen on a sphere that we can see in imagery. Are you now going to retract that?
No, because you haven't demonstrated that you can see things that shouldn't be there.
I had a little pound bet with the audience that that is exactly the words you would use.
Okay.
Yeah, predictable, P. You're predictable.
You're the
So
boy
even
who
in the
cried
face of
wolf
him
with
literally
fire.
demonstrating it to you in real time in the last 5 minutes, he's literally just shown it to you. And your assertion now,
but he
literally
hasn't.
now, is that we have not demonstrated that things that we can see aren't visible on a sphere. You're going to assert it again, doubling down.
Yeah, it's
Even though it's
true.
literally
You haven't
just been shown to
demonstrated.
you. It's literally just been shown to you, P. Again, we've done
It
this 3
hasn't.
times with you. 3 times. Your own personal demonstration, contradicting your assertion that you continue to make. Are you
Why is he
malfunctioning
not- why
cognitively,
is he
Pete? Are you
denying
malfunctioning? I mean, is it literally
No,
that you are
you're
so
creating a straw
stupid?
man argument
Is it that
because-
you are so stupid that after having the same demonstration on 3 different things, that you still assert the same thing? Are you cognitively broken?
No, I'm saying you're misrepresenting the curve calculator. You don't understand what you're saying. And you're the boy who
No,
cried
we
wolf
do,
when
Pete.
it comes
We've
to
demonstrated
fire.
it to you on 3 separate occasions. You've not brought up any actual legitimate objections. You've
'Cause
just
I
said
don't
we're
understand-
misrepresenting.
I don't
Now you're
understand the
talking
curve
over me.
calculator.
So you're just saying we're misrepresenting the curve calculator. No, it only has 2
Yeah.
things to put in: distance and elevation. That's it. There's no misrepresenting of your bullshit world model that excludes perspective, P. We're just going round and round in this with tards.
You know what a straw man argument is?
Let's
You're
just change
you're
of
taking
subject.
the
There is
curve
no straw man
calculator
here.
and you're ignorant.
There is
of
no
how it
straw man
operates.
here. There is no
You're
straw man. There's only your
creating straw
calculation
man
that we're using correctly.
argument
It's not a straw
Based
man.
off your ignorance of how the curve
Yeah,
calculator
now you're just
works.
rumpusing.
Hang
And
on.
you're making claims that the calculator is saying things that the calculator isn't saying.
Oh, really? Let's just do that again, Ranty. Put the calculator up, because he's now saying literally, even though it's been on screen, that we're misrepresenting what it says. So it says 250 feet hidden. You idiot. Can you read?
that
Are you
doesn't mean
illiterate?
that there's
No,
gonna be
answer me this.
250
Answer me this,
hidden.
dickhead. Shut up.
That's-
Are you
that's
illiterate?
that's what I'm
PMARS,
saying.
listen. You've made a statement, an assertion. Now I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Are you illiterate?
Yes.
Well, then get out. You are so dumb. Why are you even here? If you're illiterate, you don't deserve to be in part of this argument telling us what we do and don't know. Idiots. This is your representation of the world, globe heads. P. Mars, telling us that we don't understand how to read a mathematical calculation off the screen. Unbelievable stupidity. This is what you've got to defend your globe belief and faith. Pathetic.
Nathan, listen. What's also just happened is Ranty's point's been hijacked.
Yeah, that's true. My bad.
Well, the simple point is you shouldn't see these. I'm actually holding the camera right now at about 5 feet, which is why we've got a wider angle looking at it. Even though you can see this sort of like band of something going across the middle there, we're still definitely seeing these buildings. And if I even plug that in and put my elevation now at 5 feet, hidden 212 feet. Yeah, should all be gone. Even with refraction, you shouldn't see it. So you've got to ask yourself, does this look like a day when everything's being refracted, or does it just look like a very nice, clear day? Because when the sun's out,
How many times have you done this now, Ranty? About 10, 20?
yeah. And, you know, I mean, it's just a nice day. The sun's out, you know, it's...
Hey, Ronnie O'Sullivan. How you doing?
There's no clouds in the sky. It's just we can see far because it's just a nice day.
And what was the mileage involved, Ranty?
20.6.
Let's get a response from Ronnie.
Hello,
Well,
Radio
just-
Sullivan.
Hang on, the context is that Soundly's observation at 16 miles over Pontchartrain is dwarfed by this, because if we're seeing curvature with Soundly, then them buildings, well, they've got to be behind the curve of the Earth.
Exactly. But we are seeing them being compressed as well, which is also evident in the imagery.
It's been a couple of minutes. I wanted to jump in, but I believe P. Mars said, "I don't understand the curve calculator," and then he went on to critique Nathan's inability to understand the curve calculator, which then presupposes P. Mars does understand the curve calculator. So I just wanted to point out that inconsistency.
We even see Barrow Town Hall there, Nathan, your clock face. There's the clock, just where my cursor is.
I mean, it's bonkers imagery that you get. Another shout out to Retro Bill. Giving holiday here in the States. Thanks for kicking P Mars anytime.
So this is all looming in their model. None of this should be there because the water itself should be conforming to the gravity of the Earth. So it should be curving around in a sphere shape. So that's what all water should do. And it's measurable, 8 inches per mile squared. So essentially this wall of water would be blocking out these buildings if we were to believe that gravity is having that effect. The fact we're seeing them in their model now they resort to refraction or looming, and so essentially everything that we are seeing there isn't real. It's a hologram. It's not really there.
Just out of interest, how big's the wall of water?
The hump.
Curve calcs?
The hump or the bulge.
Yeah.
70 feet.
How big do you reckon that boat is? How big do you reckon that boat is? About 70 feet?
Not quite. Maybe 40 feet.
So there should be a wall of Earth curve bigger than... No, if you include the mast.
Let's go to the... Let's see if we can see
If you include the mast of the boat, it's probably 70 feet to the top of the mast.
Possibly.
That's how big the Earth curve that should be there that we don't see, that isn't obscuring anything. And coincidentally, the view seems to be the case that the plane that the boat sits on, it's exactly the same as the plane the land in the background sits on. No curve between the two, no risen boat blocking anything, no risen Earth curve with the boat sat much higher on top of that curve. None of that, just a flat plane. Obviously and observably flat.
Exactly, and this is just a video that I haven't even released to anybody. So you're actually getting a first view of this. Everybody's getting a first view of it. It's just something that I picked out of my endless amount of data that I've got. It's just another great observation. 20.6 miles.
So let's put it back into context. Soundly's Pontchartrain stuff at 16 miles, 17 mile. If Pontchartrain equals curvature, then this must also equal curvature. Soundly's curve calculated thing doesn't equal curvature, obviously.
Yeah, it's just a nice day, though. That's all it is. It's just a nice day.
So basically, what this means Soundly without having to go to Pontchartrain, because we should get the same thing everywhere.
Right.
So, and this is where also, do you remember, Ranty, when you had the boat and it was all compressed at the bottom, and basically we said, if the ballers were to explain the boat, they would put the blink test on it.
Yep.
Well, if the ballers were to present this as and to explain this, what they would do is they would deny perspective. They would go into side profile or orthographic view, and basically come up with some nonsense about bendy light.
Yep. And they would also say, "Where's the bottom of the buildings?" Without taking into account all the work that's been done this year on the compression issues in this very narrow angle. We can say that this narrow angle is essentially where it appears like there's a line running through the middle of just above the water. So in that angle is the very critical angle that we've been working on with the inferior mirage and the compression. And we know that including sort of like red pill philosophy's stuff, we can get 3 or 4 building floors into the size of one floor. We can actually measure it.
Well, while this is on screen, Ranty, this is quite a good example just because you've got the boat. So obviously, anybody who can appreciate that from the vantage point of this lens that's taken this picture, you've got an angle coming out from the lens to the top and bottom of this boat. And that angle to the boat is considerably wider than the angle to these buildings. You can see that my mouse wouldn't bring the Hangout page up. You can see that the chimneys in the background obviously are much bigger and taller than that boat, but yet you've got a smaller angle to them. Well, the same principle applies as you work your way down something. The lower you go to something in the distance or in the near foreground, same applies to the boat. The lower you go, the more limited the angle to the bottom. And the same effect will happen as if you reduce the viewing angle by virtue of distance. So if you push this boat back into the background, its angle reduces because it's got further away. Same applies to this chimney. If you're stood right next to it, you've got to lift your neck up and crick your head back to see the top of it. But from this distance, it's right at the horizon. It's got a tiny little angle. But the angle to the top of this is bigger than the angle to the bottom, which means that the effect of things getting effectively smaller because they're in a smaller angle, i.e. this is a wider angle than this, is the same when you work your way down anything that you view. The limited angle is more severe at the bottom than it is at the top.
Exactly, and let's not forget that none of these buildings should be there. We shouldn't be seeing it if we live on a sphere. There should be a 70-foot bulge of water in the way that is at a certain distance away. That means that 250 feet at this distance should be missing. Now, this building over here, these ones here, they are 167 feet tall, and they are actually on the water's edge. So let's say they're 180 feet above sea level. Where's the missing 70 feet?
Hey, Flat Earth Ginger.
Let's take into account this building, or this building, or this building. You know, they should all be gone. All be gone. But
this is why these are great images to assess, because it's not like you can say there's this much missing and it's because of Earth curve. It's like the whole lot should be gone. Now let's assess what we're actually seeing, because we are seeing it. There it is. And what's happened to it? Well, it's considerably more limited in terms of its angular size than something in the near foreground. Or shock horror. It's got smaller into the distance. Its angle has become more reduced.
Handwave dismissal coming up from all the ballers.
Where are all the ballers? They all piled in en masse while we were making our devastating points with their religion about space and their religion about Earth curve. Where are they now to obfuscate and tell us that we don't need to include perspective when we're making technical drawings of things? Like anything we ever do is a technical drawing when we've got P900s and P1000s producing this stuff. Not whiteboards and rulers and set squares.
I posted 2 pictures in the Skype chat, the group chat. It was just weird because I'm looking at this train track, and the first time I zoom in with my P900, and I took a little video and took screenshots, and when I zoom in, I see all this looks like a freaking roller coaster. You see the up and down in the train track, and it looks straight. But once I zoom in, I don't know if it was the environment, the weather conditions, the heat or whatever that made this wavy effect, but it's not straight at all, like in the distance.
Can someone present that? Because I think Hose is on a mobile at the moment. Want to get
Yeah,
out from the
I
side
can.
chat?
Just 2 pictures, you know, one zoomed out, one just regular picture, and one zoom in. Crap.
What, is this a video that you've released recently?
No, it's just separate. I haven't uploaded this to YouTube. I just took 2 screenshots of a video I took yesterday on a train track. Just 2 pictures. So if we're looking at the train track, you see the perspective taking place. It's beautiful, you know, you see it converging to the point. But then when I zoom in, actually there's a lot of mirroring and waviness effect at the end. But in the actual train track, really close to the deep horizon, when I zoom in, is this up and down effect in the actual train track. I don't think the train is going up and down because I see it going straight, you know?
Anybody manage to bring it up?
I've just had a look at his channel. I don't see the images.
In the side chat.
On the Skype, Master Bishop.
Oh, Skype. Right, sorry.
Ballers everywhere must deny perspective.
Why
Miles Dwyer Davis must deny perspective.
Why would we include perspective, Anthony?
They'd
no,
rather stab
is it
their
because
eyes out than admit it. Come on, guys.
Is it because it's part of the picture and we shouldn't be omitting it unless we want to deceive people into thinking that it doesn't count?
But in my world, I see that you flat earthers get a 90-degree adjacent view. You get to see the side of your own head when you're making observations.
Maybe it's just because we're stupid and we see that other people are so intelligent that they think that other people are stupid.
They're so intelligent they can basically distinguish between looking at things in their mind and in reality. It's genius.
So I think I found the images. Is this,
Yeah,
this
got a
is
train
holiday?
track. You like to risk
Yes,
life
yes.
and limb, don't you, on train tracks, Jose?
So yeah, I stood in the train track with my P900 and I was observing, and I started zooming in, and I see this water effect at the end in the street. You know, kind of little hovering cars and stuff. I said like, yeah, there's a lot of effects in the atmosphere at the end. But in the actual train track, check on the next picture, screenshot. There you go.
Oh wow!
Look at that waviness.
Oh my
Man,
god.
That's an accident waiting to
surreal.
happen there.
That doesn't
I
look
had that
very
same
safe.
observation. Yeah, I had that same observation in California. I haven't gone through my file yet, but I caught that same thing in California on a railroad track.
Like a bunny.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it
Look,
tripped
and
me out.
suddenly there's a giant crevice back there. Look at that.
It's almost like the lights on that Soundly video, going up and down. It's amazing.
On the little census by you.
That's the one.
Well, let's be clear. They make train tracks flat, correct?
No,
No,
they make them with a bend. Look,
yeah.
can't you see? Look, they're clearly bent out.
It's just wobbly.
Look,
What-
that's
just hang on a sec. On that second, on the one on the right hand side, you see the two train tracks that disappear off into the distance. It appears that one of them, the furthest right one, doesn't seem to go as far as the further. Wonder what happened to that one. I don't know why that one didn't make it to the horizon. Maybe they didn't continue the track that far.
No,
And you also have...
it's splitting off. It's crossing over to the other side. That's what you're seeing there.
Well,
Can I,
On the right side.
how you know that bit where it's curved as it goes over the crossing? Just beyond the crossing, it's like curves down. How far away is that from the observer?
That's not that far. That might be 2.5 to 3 miles, probably.
I wonder if that's what Samley's realised with his Pontchartrain nonsense, and that's what he's focusing in on, that curvy bit, and ignoring the rest of it.
But I'm
Well, you
waiting for the day to be a lot clearer to try to take the shot to see how far I can see, because I know I can see further. It was just a lot of mirroring effect going on that day.
Well, the other thing you have to consider, I think, is that you've got these two parallel tracks. If the left track is that varied in its height and depth on a wave and a trough pattern, the tracks on the right, they're built on the same land area, you know, so they would have to follow the same pattern. I'm not saying this very clear. Do you understand what I'm
They
saying?
would have to be identical.
Right, right.
On the same land.
Right, right. You'd have the same dip. And then you also have the tracks on the right. The tracks on the left, you can see how clearly parallel they are into the distance, but the ones on the right, as Anthony pointed out, are obscured almost immediately.
Well, I don't think they would be able to be allowed to create train tracks that have this kind of.
well, I think some of you have obviously ignored the elephant in the room and haven't even given the most obvious thing consideration. Typical. Nobody considered that it's the curve of the Earth.
Earth curve.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, the curvature starts out like kind of a wobbly thing, and then...
But then it comes back. Like it curves down and then it comes back up. Maybe Earth has multiple curves.
No, it's just a mirage.
That's a weird
I call
photograph.
this the roller coaster effect.
Look,
That's
we
how
all
I call it,
accept...
Roller coaster Earth.
Like Pontchartrain Bridge, this is built straight, but the curve that we see can only be Earth curve, right? The tracks are flat, we know that. I mean, we're all joking, but we know really they're flat. But this is just, you know, you just zoomed in on the Earth curve. Well done.
Optical illusion, Nate.
No,
Do you know
Soundly
what would've
says
been
this is
really
Earth
useful?
curve, Branty. So if Soundly says it's Earth curve when he sees something like this, then I'm going to say this is Earth curve. Soundly says it, so I can say it too. That track is bent because of Earth curve.
What
Hey,
you're
Jose.
saying here,
Jose.
Raj.
Jose, could you
Yeah, go-
try
yeah.
this again, but with rolling footage?
Well,
Because
well,
this may be literally just wobbling around.
No, I got the video of that. I'm gonna upload it as soon as the show ends.
Oh, really? You got video? Awesome.
Hey,
and Jose, on the video, did you happen to change your elevation by going up and down?
Yes, I record standing up and I zoom in, then I zoom back out. I put my camera down on the dirt, on the rocks, and I zoom in and out again. Yeah, in the video.
Ooh, it's exciting. We're easily pleased. Someone raising and lowering a camera, that's enough to get us wet.
hey, I thought I was brave. I thought I was brave running out in front of oncoming traffic at 60 miles an hour to get the lampposts. Going onto a train track now, that's
Yeah,
next level. That.
that's extreme. And I got two videos. I got this pointing to this side, and then in the other side, there's the train in the tracks. So I'm gonna post the. I'm
You're
gonna
just-
fish in
you're
both
just showing off
videos,
now.
and I'm gonna upload them.
You're just showing off now.
Yeah, right.
Anything you can do, I can do more dangerous.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's not the best quality. I mean, a lot of shakiness because when I zoom in, you know, standing up, it's a little bit of shakiness, but the effect. I mean, it's a decent video. It's pretty cool to look at.
It's got a name. It's called the Ranty effect.
I'm gonna call it the roller coaster effect. Train
No,
track.
I was talking about the shaky camera.
I think Travis is watching up a Nathan voice. I can hear you.
Yeah, Travis.
Oh,
I
there you
said
go. I can hear you now.
having a shaky camera has got a name. It's called the Ranty effect.
Oh yeah.
Really?
The ranty effect.
It's an allergy to tripods.
I mean, I personally call my P900 the jet, and who knows why.
Now, maybe it's the ranty technique.
Well, I think the ranty technique is the best way to do it. Like Jose's been doing, you go higher, you go lower, you get some footage from both. You don't just settle on one particular sweet spot like Soundly does. Oh, this is always curvature. You know, if you actually analyze it and do it up and down, and then you've got some elevation data to work from, you can actually figure things out. Soundly's just one of these guys that just lies with his evidence, essentially.
Does anybody
what
want to
if- what if-
present the video I put with the boats when I zoom in like really down close to the sand, and you see those waves like tsunamis? That's
Yeah, go on.
actually in my channel. Yeah, it's I put the moon video, and then the next to that one is the
Come on,
elevation
Monty, you can
change
sort
in
that
the
one.
sea.
Yeah, is it the observation 6 foot height versus a few inches?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Let me pop that up for a second.
Yeah, it was the day looked clear, but I couldn't see past maybe 5 or 6 miles. Everything was washed up with mirroring effects.
Okay, so let's get you started off. Where are we? I'll just play it for me. I'm gonna have to put you on mute because I don't like the music. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's all right.
Whoa.
So this is you obviously holding the camera right down at what, a few inches?
Yeah, a few inches. Yeah, just sitting it in a small rock in the sand.
Man, how can that boat be so stable in such waters? Incredible.
It's
Oh,
it's
no!
amazing. Oh
Go
no!
back a little bit. Show the first boat, the red one. It looked really clear. A few seconds in, about 30 seconds in the video.
No.
Save them.
Somebody save them.
Ranty, go back and put it like 30 seconds in the video. The first boat is really clear. That one, there you go.
So if any obstruction's curvature, this is clearly the curvature of the Earth. Clearly.
you can't account for this with perspective. That's not allowed.
Whoa.
So I'm going to say that probably these waves are what, 4 or 5 inches high, maybe in certain cases probably going up to about as high as a foot. Would you agree?
Yes, yeah, probably about a foot, yeah, tops.
They got to be
Did
going
you get
up about
wet?
400 feet.
If you didn't get wet, you're not doing it ranty style. You've got to get wet every time you go there.
These are definitely doing it for me. I'm getting wet.
You got to lie on your belly too. That's Wiley style.
So yeah,
it was
this
really
is
choppy. It was windy,
Whoa.
but yeah.
this is perspective, people. You know, I mean, this is something in the foreground that's very small can block out something very big in the distance. It's just...
No. If I put you 90 degrees to this, that wave is never getting any higher than your camera because your camera's above those waves.
Oh yeah, I don't see wet feet yet.
And that was really low.
No, I
That
tried
was
to
like
keep myself
inches.
dry, man.
Well, I'm glad you're actually doing this kind of stuff. So you're actually making use of that P900. So
If only there was a video of someone with a fishing boat that looked like it was sinking in the ocean. If only, I wonder.
I wonder who could have one of them. Do you know what that landmass is over there, Jose? Do you know how far away it is?
That landmass is like maybe 3 miles away. It's not too far.
And that building?
Yeah, about 3 miles away. That's why I couldn't get an observation past maybe 5 or 6 miles. I couldn't get it at all.
Hey, you thought I was shaky, Nathan.
I know. That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
I reckon he's found a file on
this
my
would be.
But look, now to zoom out those actual buildings that I just took, I put my camera down and I zoom into them, but the waves, I mean just the sea and the little waves just wash them all. I cannot catch them.
Oh, look at all that curvature.
Yeah, so when they make us, when we talk about doing observations and we're comparing it on a flat plane, they don't take into account any kind of ripple. It has to be absolutely 100% flat. When we say we live in a flat Earth, they always do every kind of calculation on perfect flatness. They don't take into account any kind of waves, nothing.
Shout out to the chat flattening the curve.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do more of these observations. Hopefully, the times that I revisit, the sea is gonna be calm and steady, and that will be beautiful with more clarity.
It's amazing how much just a little swell can actually distort what you're seeing.
And also limit the angle of view. Obviously, if the deck's raising, that's even more compounded the problem of a limited angle. You've raised the deck.
Well, there's topography to take into account. There's sandbanks. There's the obviously you've got the tide pushing in, you know, so it is actually pushing itself up as it goes higher.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got
the momentum of the water.
Yeah,
it carries it upward.
You've got things called tidal bores. So if you're in a cove, or you're filming from a cove or near an estuary or something like that, you will get something called a tidal bore, which is it artificially raises the height of the water. So if you're on the side of the water, in the middle, it can be artificially raised by as much as a cup feet, just by the tidal bore that comes across. And that's where the water's trying to push its way into the cove that's already has water sitting there stationary. So the only thing it can do is go over it. It doesn't raise it up, it goes over it.
Got an idea.
Thank you for letting YouTube share with us what you're interested in, by the way.
Yeah, ace.
Boxing, games,
poker, boxing,
necklaces,
fighting,
all that
people
kind of
arguing
jewelry,
on the street,
poker, chess. You're very sophisticated, Ranty.
Sorry?
So, any chance, because Pete Mars did hijack it, and Anthony was absolutely right to point that out. I'm glad he did. Your observation from 20 plus miles that we hadn't seen before, because I just transitioned to Anthony's images of the Isle of Man, which the north end was 34 miles, but it's just a slither of land. Whereas at these sorts of distances with the camera that you're using, I know this is older footage from the P900, it would be more glorious if it was the 1000, but that aside, you are still getting the same images. And as far as I'm aware, the diffraction limit of the P1000 is no better, the aperture's the same. So in that respect, you know, you're going to see more because you've got a greater pixel density and a longer zoom, but the actual effects that you're observing won't change as far as I can ascertain. You know, the diffraction limit of your cameras are the same. So therefore, this imagery is just nicer. No offence to Anthony, it's obviously great to push the numbers beyond 30 miles, but when you're at 22 miles, did you say this was?
20.6 this.
Well, just over 20 miles. You can still make out, I mean, for instance, the chimneys. You've still got a wide enough angle to those chimneys. They're long gone beyond Earth curve, just for anybody who wants to. In fact, I won't steal your thunder. Just in your own words, what are we looking at and why is it amazing?
Well, we're looking at Devonshire Dock Hall, which is actually 167 feet tall. It's right on the water side. But if we add an extra 10 feet, let's say, or 13 feet for it to be above the actual water, that only puts it at 180 feet. At this distance, 250 feet should be missing. So all these other buildings that are in it's slightly in the foreground, not much before. This is around about a third of a mile before Devonshire Dock Hall. But essentially, this building shouldn't be seen. That building shouldn't be seen. These chimney stacks should not be seen. I believe they're 230 feet tall. I believe. I'll have to double check that, but I think that's what they are. But anyway, none of these should be seen. Nothing of this should be seen. But we see them. It's as simple as that. And there is no curve on the water. Where's this bulge, the 70-foot bulge of water that should be in the way, obstructing this view of these buildings? Now, in the globe model, this has to be looming because gravity is not having the effect on water that it should be, because all water should curve as per the blue marble effect. So all water is curving at a constant 8 inch per mile squared. If it isn't conforming to that, then it's not behaving in the way that gravity should do. And in effect, what we're seeing here is an illusion. It is being loomed up beyond the curvature of the Earth. Everything we see in the distance there isn't really there. The atmosphere is lifting those buildings up above that 70-foot hump of water and displaying it to the camera just like this, and it is an illusion. This is their model, not ours. We see it because it's there.
It's funny how they don't really address the looming anymore. Even isn't it? It was first like kind of an anchor point, and now they potentially could still do something with it, but they're just outright into denial now instead.
We know why that is, though, Arwin.
Why?
Because if they argue that looming, then they've also got to accept that in the right conditions and a powerful enough zoom, you can see your own ass in the telescope.
Also,
I want to make a quick point over here.
But in my model, that could be a possibility as well. So
yeah, but it's the application of something called terrestrial refraction. So it's a bit like when we were talking on the previous show with Alan. Big shout out to my own channel, Nathan Oakley, which is going to premiere that along with the pre-show where no one talks for about 5 minutes while I start the show. But nevertheless, that show where Alan basically obfuscated continually the point about curvature is the same as 7.6R. So they will talk all day about refraction and how refraction bends light and what refraction is and how the temperatures should affect it and this and that and the other. When it comes to the actual application in terms of the globe, it is an arbitrary 7/6R. It's begging the question on steroids. Not only will they assume Earth radius and have it bunged into the calculation whether you like it or not, because it's always giving you a sphere Earth output. It's a begging the question calculator. But they also piss it right in your face. They give it you again and say, oh, well, if it doesn't match, we'll beg the question, and then beg the question again with an arbitrary 7/6R, terrestrial refraction. So if anybody ever gets into an argument with a globe head about refraction and what should or shouldn't be happening based on the conditions, oh, well, sod that. You're not going to apply any of that. What you'll apply is this. 7/6 of the begging the question in the first place R value.
And let me just be clear.
Arbitrary R.
Arbitrary.
This standard refraction, nobody has ever been able to demonstrate or produce the same effects of a building being loomed up anywhere.
What he calls standard, the term is terrestrial. This is terrestrial refraction. 7/6R is terrestrial refraction, regardless of West's label.
Right. Well, I understand the point that you can change. I understand the point you can get a laser beam, a single laser beam, to be changing its direction, but that doesn't. There's a difference between a beam of light and the, what would you call it, static light or ambient light that comes from the buildings. So these buildings here, they have ambient light, and there's a difference between a light beam and what we're actually seeing here. And I would like somebody to demonstrate this in an experiment where they can actually produce, have something on the other side of some water and loom it up by means of either heating the atmosphere or cooling the water to produce this.
What they'll do is they'll come back with the Kunrich one where he used liquid butane.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like this. It's not wobbly, and it's literally, that's liquid butane. That's like, what is it, minus 100 degrees or something.
Well, I mean, what you've got to show is that minus, I think it's about -20, but whatever the temperature of it is, you've got to show it within milli temperatures, right? But you've also got to show it going through the refractive index of water vapor, because this light is on top of water, and we know that the water vapor is less dense. So that should bend light up, according to your
But this,
model.
sorry, perfect example. Sorry, just gotta get this in. Perfect example. So if a globe petard was on the panel right now, you'd start arguing about exactly the point that Anthony's made, irrespective of the fact that what they will actually apply is terrestrial refraction. So they can show you this effect, they can measure this effect, they can use liquid butane to demonstrate the effect of refraction. But that's not what they're applying. They're applying 7/6R, terrestrial refraction. 7/6 of the begging the question fallacy in the first place. Lost half the panel to a troll.
I'm still.
Oh, that is actually you, Travis.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think it's how long have we got left on this show? 47 minutes. Oh, within 3 minutes I'd have just ended the show. Shall I start a new hangout? I think I will. I'll say goodbye to Travis temporarily. Sorry, Travis. Welcome to the show. You don't know. There will be a short intermission. Fire up the next hangout. Be the work of but a moment. Okay, so I've stuck it out on Skype. Hopefully we'll get a few guests back. Hey, Anthony.
Been a while since that's happened.
Hey, Ranty.
Howdy.
Hello. I didn't see anybody join. Did you see anybody join?
I didn't know. I wasn't watching, if I'm honest. I was too busy playing Exploding Kittens on my phone.
Exploding Kittens.
Yeah. Shout out to Patricia Steer.
Hello. Didn't see that one coming.
I would like to make a point, if I might. Now this is a little bit calm down. I read in the chat somebody put a few minutes, a little while ago, why don't the ISS is never discussed in the show? And I'll give you the whole answer. Yes, the ISS have been discussed in the show very deeply when you bowlers were allowed to beg the question. Now, if you want to talk about the ISS, you jump in the show and talk first and explain to us, demonstrate how can you have a gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. I mean, how can you have a gas pressure without a container? You make that point, you make it clear, and then we can talk about satellites, the ISS, and all that BS that you want to talk about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, spot on.
You want to see another video that I've just found?
You're on.
Never showed it before.
Yeah, great.
Side of Central Pier. So the distance this time is 22 miles. So we're going ever further away. Sorry?
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, Travis.
So I'm showing you around now, and then I'm going to lower the camera in a minute, and we're going to have a look, see if we can see anything over at Barrow and Furnace again. So there, I've just lowered the camera right down onto a tripod. It's around about 2 foot high, the tripod at this time. So we're probably about, what I would say, 8 or 9 feet above sea level. And what do you know? We actually have a massive inferior mirage running the entire image. You'll see that in a moment. You can see the inferior mirage there. If I pause it, I'll just go back a tad before I show you anything more. There you can see the massive inferior mirage. So that's a mirror image. And we know what's happening inside the inferior mirage. We know that that's where the building should be. And we know that the atmosphere is causing that, not the Earth curve. There's Town Hall, Barrow, and there's the Devonshire Dock Hall, etc., etc., and all those buildings that are looming apparently. But we know that this inferior mirage that runs underneath it is hiding the bottom of these buildings in that compression zone. 22 miles off the beach.
That's so awesome. Nobody talks about these, you know, Ranty. We bring them up from time to time and we'll discuss them and eulogise about them while they're on screen. But then they curiously get completely ignored by all globe heads.
Yeah, handwave dismissals all round.
If I pause it right now, if you look at those chimneys, for instance, we know that the chimneys stop around about here. We don't see any more. And all this repeated chimney underneath it is an inferior mirage, the same as the sky is repeated underneath these buildings. And behind this atmospheric blocking is the rest of the building. Now, they used to say that was Earth curve until recently when I've demonstrated that it isn't actually Earth curve at all. It's actually atmospheric blockage. And that's where the rest of those buildings are, 22 miles.
You know, Ranty, you know, when in the past when I've said to you things like the reason why you don't get too much reaction from some of your videos is because you don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
This is where you want to poke the bear, because if you like literally name someone, like say for instance, Slice Barcane can't debunk this. This isn't explainable on a sphere. That's when you get pick randomly at random somebody that we can poke the bear. So who should we pick?
Slice Barcane can't explain this. I've heard that. I'm sure I've heard that he tried to debunk this but failed miserably. I'm sure I heard that very recently. Didn't you hear that, Anthony?
Yeah, Slice Barcane's a dishonest wanker.
I heard it.
So yeah, I heard it too. So
I think
dear
the audience
Slice
heard it here
Barcane
first. So let's make it absolutely clear. Slice Barcane cannot debunk Ranty Flat Earth's observation of Barrow and Furness from Blackpool. He cannot do it.
All he can do is lie.
And furthermore, this not only conclusively proves that the Earth is flat, it absolutely and totally demolishes any assertion whatsoever that the Earth is in any way, shape or form sphere-shaped. This is a globe Earth killer that Slice Barcane specifically cannot debunk or refute in any way, shape or form. It proves the Earth is flat, it debunks the globe, and Ranty Flat Earth has put it out there, and Sly just can't do anything about it.
Nathan, you
I triple dog dare
hang on
Slice Barcane.
hang on a sec. Can I just point out to the audience that Nathan's just obfuscated my point, which is that Ranty needs to poke the bear a little bit, because Ranty needs to poke the bear. Ranty, pick someone and poke the bear.
Slice Barcane.
Right, so poke it. Poke it.
Slice Barcane cannot debunk this observation.
Yay!
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. We will continue to chat away on the after show, which will get broadcast at 0400 GMT or 4 AM UK time. But in the meantime, there will also be a repeat of the last debate that ran before this one, together with the pre-show on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. I've put a link in the chat box, and there's also a link to my second channel in the info box below this video. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!